Let's be clear. Selling industrial real estate is a whole different ballgame than selling a house. It's a specialized field, the stakes are incredibly high, and the details, well, they matter a lot. So over the next few minutes, we're going to break down the expert's playbook, walking you through how to navigate this complex market and get the absolute most value out of your asset.
And it absolutely is a high-stakes game. But you know what? All that complexity doesn't have to be a bad thing. If you have the right strategy, it's actually a huge opportunity. We're going to walk through the essential steps that turn what could be an overwhelming process into a clear path to a win. So, let's start with the most fundamental question of all.
First things first, you've got to know exactly what you're selling, because an industrial property is never just a big box. Understanding its specific purpose is step one, because that purpose, it dictates everything. Its value, who your potential buyers are, and your entire sales strategy. I mean, it seems pretty obvious, right? One stores things, the other makes things. But the real difference, the one that completely changes how you sell it, comes down to one word: versatility. A warehouse can be adapted for a ton of different uses, but an oil refinery, it's built for one single, highly specialized purpose. And that distinction is absolutely critical for finding the right buyer.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got your general purpose buildings. They appeal to a massive market because they're so flexible. But look over on the right. With special or single-purpose properties, like that refinery, your buyer pool just shrinks dramatically. Those unique features make them way harder to value and a lot tougher to sell, which of course really amps up the risk for the seller.
So once you know what kind of property you're dealing with, it's time to go see it in person. This is what we call the first look assessment. And trust me, what you observe in these first few moments can set the entire strategy for the sale. Your very first job on site is a thorough visual inspection. Now, no one expects you to be a structural engineer, but you are the first line of defense. You're looking for those obvious red flags, cracks, signs of water damage, peeling paint. It is so critical to document these things right away. You have to get ahead of these issues before a potential buyer finds them for you.
And this right here is such a key concept: actual age versus effective age. Think about it. A building might be 40 years old on paper, but if it's been meticulously maintained and upgraded, its effective age could be just 15. On the flip side, a 10-year-old building that's been neglected could easily have an effective age of 25. And that number, it has a huge impact on the appraisal and how buyers see the property. So as you're walking through, you need to think like a modern logistics operator. Are the clear heights tall enough for today's high-tech racking systems? Are the floors solid concrete, ready for heavy machinery? What's the loading dock situation look like? And hey, what about the tech? Little details like wideband radio systems for forklift operators, they aren't just bells and whistles. They're what signal a building's true modern functionality. All right, so you've done your walkthrough. Now it's time for the deep dive, the due diligence. The best way to think about this is like a complete medical checkup for the property. It's totally non-negotiable, and it's where you uncover the real story hiding beneath the surface.
First up, we've got to look at the financials. You need to see the numbers. Income statements, rent rolls, detailed operating costs. This isn't just paperwork. This stuff tells the story of the property's financial health. Is this a stable, cash-flowing asset, or are there hidden problems? The documents will tell you the truth.
Next, the legal side of things. This is all about ensuring a clean, problem-free transaction. You have to confirm the seller actually owns the property, go over any existing mortgages or surveys, and, this one is critical, get a copy of the current zoning bylaws to make sure the property is being used legally.
The structural report basically makes your initial walkthrough official. It includes photos and a clear list of any deferred maintenance. The goal here is simple: get ahead of any potential problems. By putting all the material facts on the table up front, you control the narrative and stop buyers from using surprises to negotiate the price down later.
And the last piece of due diligence, and honestly this might be the most critical, is environmental. This can be an absolute deal breaker. You have to dig into the owner's records, check with the local offices, and when you're on site, trust your senses. Look for stained soil, notice any strange odors. If you suspect anything, the seller has to bring in a professional. This is a liability you simply cannot ignore.
Okay, so we've sized up the property as it is today. But the real magic, and often the real money, is in seeing what it could be tomorrow. Let's talk about how to unlock its redevelopment potential. Here is a fantastic pro tip, especially for those older properties. Don't see them as obsolete. See them as potential incubator buildings. By carving up a large old site into smaller, low-rent units, you create a perfect hub for startups and growing businesses. For the landlord, that means a diverse tenant base that's constantly renewing itself. Now, this whole idea of revitalizing old spaces brings us to a really key term: brownfields. These are properties with let's call it a complicated past. Often they're contaminated from whatever industrial use happened there before. But, and this is a huge but, they're typically in prime urban locations with all the roads, water, and power already in place. They are a major challenge for sure, but an even bigger opportunity.
And thankfully, governments get it. They see the potential here. So modern brownfields legislation is designed to solve the key problems. It helps make the land accessible for cleanup, it protects new owners from being on the hook for past contamination, which is crucial, and it helps speed up the entire approval process. The goal is simple. Let's get these prime locations back in business.
So, with all these possibilities, renovation, redevelopment, cleanup, how in the world do you decide the right path forward? Well, the guiding principle for appraisers and developers is something called highest and best use. And this isn't just about what's physically possible. It's about finding the single use that will generate the greatest possible return, whether that's in pure dollars or in value to the community. And the analysis really boils down to a pretty simple comparison. What's the property worth with the building on it, just as it is? Now, what's the land worth if it were completely empty? If that empty land is worth more, the market is screaming something at you loud and clear. It's time to tear down and start fresh. That's its highest and best use.
We are in the home stretch now. You've done the assessment, you've completed the due diligence, you understand its potential. Now let's go through the final checklist and get this property ready to hit the market.
To sell this stuff effectively, you have to speak the buyer's language. When they ask you about bay depth or clear span or the truck turning radius, you need to have the precise numbers ready to go. This isn't just trivia, it's the core data a sophisticated buyer needs to make a decision, and having it ready shows you a pro who respects their time.
And here it is, the ultimate pro tip that really ties everything together. Do the buyer's homework for them. All that due diligence we talked about, the zoning, the condition reports, the environmental clearances, assemble it all into a neat package right from the start. This will dramatically slash your marketing time because you're removing all the uncertainty and giving a serious buyer everything they need to say yes.
Because really, that's what this is all about. A successful sale isn't just about facts and figures on a page. It's a story that's been well told. Your preparation allows you to build a compelling narrative about the property's past, its present, and most importantly, its future.
When you follow this playbook, you become more than just a salesperson. You become a strategist, a historian, and a bit of a visionary. You learn to see not just what a property is, but everything it can be. So, as you approach your next listing, remember to ask that one key question. Your property has a history. What will be its future?